Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our discovery journey in unpacking one Chinese expression a day. And yesterday I shared 毛主席万岁. It's the very first English expression, long live Chairman Mao, that came into my vision when I first opened an English textbook in China. So there you go. You can tell that's the biggest propaganda back then. Like even learning English, you have to say this phrase. And I forgot to point out, like who would say they have 10,000 years to live? Basically, it's live infinity. Okay, the ancient times, emperors used this expression. So basically, it's a 皇上万岁, 万岁, 万岁. Actually, that's the whole thing. They say 10,000 years, 10,000 years, 10,000, 10,000 years. They put a kind of a rhythm to it. Basically, that's the in a emperor's courtroom when the either domestic servants or the appointed government officials back then, right? Either is on the military side or on the civil side of servants. They are all below the emperor, and they are all, whenever they are, saying praise to the emperor, they have to, ass kissing a lot. And then this is the expression, 万岁, live forever, basically. So, and kind of like that's a indicator, okay, indicator, like who thinks they are what. That's using this expression, okay. 万能表 in, okay, yesterday we have 5 characters, right? So that's non-standard Chinese expression. So it's a contemporary coined expression, propaganda, right? And this 万能表, 3 characters. And again, can have, this is not exactly a set phrase Chinese expression. It's actually a translation. And 万能表 is contemporary multimeter. So that's something after the invention of electricity, right? And then the whole wiring of the electricity, the measuring of the electricity becomes like universally needed. So this is the tool for that. And Chinese, in response to the technology development, we have to come up with the new expressions to match up to whatever we express out there in the new technology. So here's one good example. 万能表. 1, again, we have 10,000, and I came up with a theory of this is number 10, but wipe out the top portion. So this is just look like that. But originally it should look at number 10 is a cross. And then this 2 curved lines at below is just, squared 10, which is 100, and square the whole thing again, which is 100 to the 2nd degree is 10,000. That's my interpretation. It may not be like that, but this super abstract, just 1, 2, 3 strokes of writing became this symbol for 10,000 particular unit of numbers in Chinese. Okay, 能 is more concrete. We have the net over here in the far background. That's kind of arch, right? And then with just 2 of the crosses to show you the patterns of the net. So that's a net. The bottom, somebody say this looks like a 4-legged animal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-legged animal. So it's a beast. And this is a muscle symbol that looks like kind of an omega, but slanted. And then with 2 stripes over there. So that's a simplification of meat or muscle. And then the top portion is an abstraction of this animal's or the beast's head that kind of look big-headed. So the whole thing you can roughly piece together, almost look like an animal. But I put a question on that because this is somebody's interpretation. The whole thing is, it means some powerful beastly animal that has this muscle power that signify ability or power, simply the muscle power, right? And then with the net in the back is like try to capture this energy, capture this power. I guess domestication of animals, you use it as either as labor, so muscle power, use them as labor, like we use plowing animals, or use them as meat, food source. So I don't know, like for a beast to be captured, to be within this net, to contain this muscle power, like what this one exactly mean. But that's the interpretation of this multi-components of symbols pieced together, why that can sort of relate. So it's kind of a retrofitting, right? So with contemporary meaning of this, 能 means ability, and we try to guess, like why this become this, right? So it's, my interpretation is it may be like 5 different components. So instead of the bottom 4 components to visually depicting a 4-legged beast, this each individual of them may be a separate part that signify different things. So like this is muscle power, yes, agree. And then the bottom right here is the symbol for change, because on the other side is human figure, normally written like that. But one is flipped like this, that means the person change, and that used as change for any kind of thing. The top portion here is a spoon symbol. So it's I guess ancient spoon would look like this with a narrow opening so things don't get spilled, and with a big curved handle. I don't exactly know why structurally it looks like that, but it was used as a spoon. So feeding spoon, like it means feeding nutrition, right? This one I don't exactly know, except it's the flipping image for knife symbol. So knife symbol has this handle thing again, and you can see both of them are kind of handle looking similar, right? So this handle thing, and then the bottom here are the edges of the knife. So it used to be a knife symbol. If you flip it horizontally the other way, the handle is facing the right side, to have it, this curve thing go this way, then that's the knife symbol. So when the knife symbol got flipped, it could change its meaning to something else, just like the human figure change into something else. And that something else, we don't know. I mean, at least I don't know right now. So the whole thing, we have change, we have meat, we have a spoon, or nutrition or feeding, and we have some unknown knife flip image. And why all of these are put together, and eventually, thousands of years later, we view the whole thing means ability to do something. Okay, that's open for interpretation. I'm not going to pin down, or I don't even come up with a cohesive theory as to why these 4 components, especially in the missing piece over here, like what does that mean, to come up with a story of why that means ability. But this is a contemporary simplified ability thing. And you can see they kind of regard the 2 symbols the same, but you can see these 2 are not the same. So misrepresentation of a original message happened a lot during this simplification process. So we only know this means ability. That means that you have the skill or the power, the energy or the time to do something, to make a change. So that's 能. 表, we have the clothing sign, the apparel, generic apparel. Okay, it looks like this. The front line here has this side wrap around this side. That's the ancient clothing neckline that looks like that, because ancient clothing is mostly draping 2-piece, like one big piece of fabric over your body, and then you have to close it in this way. So that's an ancient neckline. And people want to see that, it's like obvious, that's clothing. And then here is the back side of the clothing with a dart over there to sew it together, to, I guess, to close it on the back. So the whole thing is the neckline, around the neckline, the front and the back. of clothing. And then here, we just saw this symbol on the other side, on the previous slide, right? See here, has almost like a 5-finger hand symbol, but instead this indicator bend the other way to mean that actually means hair or fur, versus bend the other way, like the middle finger bend the other way, that means the hand. And so here is a kind of squashed, flattened image of that because it had to fit within the frame with 2 other symbols in between. Actually, it's a sandwich between this one unit of symbols. So this is inserted in the middle of that clothing. And what is, okay, this is a fur, right? This is fur and this is clothing. That means the fur is inside the clothing. And people use that to express surface because the fur, I guess in ancient times when you wear things to stay warm, you line the fur on the inside. So you have the air pockets inside to keep you warm, and the outside is the skin. And eventually this expression of fur inside and then the outside is, the fur inside, right? That's kind of obvious to mean the surface. They use the inside to mean the surface, the outside. So this surface eventually extended to appearance, right? It's logical. If this is fur-like surface, it means appearance can be generalized, like that's visually. So here with the fur is textile, right? Tactile, our sense of touch. You can feel the fur and it keep you warm. So all these are to the touch. But eventually, because we don't really touch people that much, right? So it's a visual touch, it's vision. On the surface, you look at something without touching, you kind of know what that is, right? Eventually, this appearance meaning extended into check something or measure something through experience. So we're kind of reading the situation through looking at the surface of things. So in contemporary framing of things, it's like iceberg, right? You only see the tip of the iceberg and below a big unknown to you. But we only have so much information. That's the tip of the iceberg. And so in Chinese expression, this surface is the seen, the observable appearance of something. And through that, you try to read what the whole thing is about. So that becomes, in this translation of multimeter, this becomes the meter portion. So because it's a surface, it's readable, you use that as a measurement of something. So that's biao. And eventually, Chinese, when in this industrialization age, a lot of Western inventions, when they were imported into China, they were translated into that, and biao oftentimes used as the meter because it's something surface, something you can read. And use that to determine the inside or the property of something that's not readable. So this is to almost like the surface something, right? Because like, okay, this multimeter is electricity. Like just by our eyes, we cannot tell electricity. You don't want to touch it, right? So with this device, you can tell, then read it on the meter to surface the information that's not otherwise sensible for humans. And that's what meter is about, to convert something inside like iceberg, and then to convert the inside information to the outside tip of the iceberg. And so that you can read it on the dashboard to kind of determine the status of something. So that's contemporary Chinese translation of multimeter, 万能表. And we pair again 10,000 as like extremely big number. So 10,000 biao means ability, right? Because this is a multifunctional meter. So it's still limited, but in Chinese translated in one as if it can do everything. Probably that's the capture the sense of awe. like when it first imported into China. So electricity was new, right? And this device that can test the voltage and the current of the electricity was also like amazing to people back then. Like in today, 2023, we look at this, it's analog technology. It's really outdated, it's not that, but it's still in use today, right? But you can imagine maybe half a century ago, right? When it first came to China, or 1,000 years ago, when it first came to China, it amazes people. And people even create this expression, one, no, it's like it can do 10,000 different things. It's so capable. That has the initial cultural or technology appreciation in there, and people use this 10,000 ability to express how capable, like how amazing this meter is. So that's 万能表 cashing into the currency of thinking about one word a day. See you another day.